G'day and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast. My name is Steve Smith and I'm your host, and it's time for another segment of Enview and Dint Golf Solutions Walking the Fairways. A fantastic part of having these conversations and walking the fairways is we get to have the introductions with our partners of the podcast, and this one is with Enview, and I've got joining us the National Sales Manager of Turf Ornamentals and Vegetation Management is Craig Burley. G'day Craig, how you going?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Steve. Yourself?
Mate, I'm very well. Thank you for joining us on this. Great to have you on. I love being able to have voices and people can put names and voices to names, and when they see you and meet you, they know who we're talking to, which is wonderful to have you on, so thank you. Now, mate, before I get started and understanding a few questions that I've got for you, you're Melbourne-based. I need to know, because everyone loves, we're down here for the Melbourne Turf Conference. There's often circles and conversations around AFL. I'm a mad Sydney Swans fan. It comes through where I'm living up in Sydney. I've got to ask, for everyone's sake, do you have a team you barrack for down here?
Yes, most definitely, and it is probably one of the most liked teams in Australia, Collingwood.
Stop it! I'll keep that to myself and the wife. I won't let her. They are the nemesis. She's always telling me. Well, at least we know what your colours are, and I'm sure there's always plenty of black and whites walking around in Melbourne, no doubt, when they're playing at home at the MCG. Now, mate, what I wanted to get you on for in the podcast is, with this intro, is just a little bit of understanding. We've got the National Turf Conference, the ASTMA coming. Enview are wonderful partners of the podcast, but also you've been in the industry for a long time. But this new brand of Enview, we're trying to showcase what you've got, where you're coming from, and some of the products and portfolio that you bring to the industry under the brand of Enview, which now has been around for a few years. You're going to have a presence at the trade show stand, Enview, and I just want to hear from yourself, mate. What are some of the benefits that you guys have from Enview's point of view? Having, yourself or the company's representatives meeting with people in the wider industry on the trade show stand there at the conference. What is it for you guys?
Yeah, look, it's an important time of the year for us. One of the things that we sort of look to is, when we're planning for the conference and what does our stand look like. And, one first and foremost, we like to have an inviting stand for people to come out and talk to us. But that said, also the connections that we create, from, people that we've known for long times and new people to the industry as well. We focus on trying to just, build relationships there. We also like to get some feedback around our products and how they're performing. And if there have been any, issues with our products as well, most importantly, because, we're a very small team across Australia and we can't get to everybody all the time. We have our support from our distribution channel, our agents across the country. And look, I think it's one of those things that, brings the industry together. We get to connect with all the turf managers that attend, but also our other channel partners that showcasing their own wares as well.
Absolutely, mate. It's fantastic. And great to hear that, because I like the part there you talked about, that two-way conversation and that information flow backwards and forwards is important, and the connection with your customers out there that you don't get a chance to see. And regardless of how big any business is, there's always people there that we don't get to have those face-to-face conversations. So I love that you say that, because that is where I sit, and hearing it from yourself, and obviously that's representative of the brand in Enview. It's great to see that you need that, because it helps you improve and deliver what your customers are looking for as well.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think one of the things that has stood out to myself over the years, going to these events is, we do hear things that we would not otherwise hear, and it gives us a good platform to come back to our development team, whether it be the tech service team with Yuri Carpro, or it be our reg affairs. And even right back to our formulation plant over in the US and in Germany, that feedback is vital for us. So we can keep improving, keep developing products or formulations to get the best out of our products.
Absolutely. And great way to connect, as you mentioned, relationships with people is a wonderful thing. So it's easy. This is a great way for people to connect with the team and the brand of Enview down at the trade show. Now, mate, you just mentioned there Yuri Carpro. As I often talk about Yuri with his beautiful mind that you have as part of Enview. Now, Yuri's going to be both, he's in the industry and now on the podcast, which is wonderful. With our wonderful partnership, we get to hear from Yuri. But what's it like from Enview's point of view having Yuri as a speaker? Because he's a speaker at the conference this year. What does that mean for Enview?
Yeah, look, we take great pride with Yuri having him as part of our team. He's been with the business for a very long time. I think the industry respects his input as well, and he's certainly not one to toe the down the Enview aligned path. We do want to be solutions providers across the board. Yuri does sort of push that across the team as well when we're having internal meetings. So being up there representing Enview, I'm sure Yuri will be talking about various other methods and methodologies how to get the best out of products, not just Enview, but others that are in the marketplace as well.
That's it. He's been such a stalwart and a very, very highly respected individual across the broad spectrum of our industry, which is wonderful to have. And like I said, it's been great, thanks to you guys, that I've been able to have him on, giving people some tips and things to look for throughout the season on the podcast, which is wonderful to be able to share. Now, for everyone listening to this podcast, we want you to drop by the Enview Trade Show stand, which is number 33, when you're down at the conference this week. You can meet the team, pick their brains about Enview's range of science-based solutions, of course, that can help you look after your turf surfaces better. But look, Craig Burley from Enview, I really appreciate you jumping on and giving us a bit of insight of what it means to be involved at the ASTMA National Turf Conference this year in Melbourne. I look forward to seeing everyone at your stand.
Very good, Steve. Thanks very much for your time, and looking forward to catching up with everybody there. And come and see us at the stands. We've got something exciting. We've got a promotion with our partner John Deere coming to the conference. So get on board with that and scan the QR code that we have and go in the draw to win a mower. So it'll be great.
Wow, mate, I'm really excited about that one. I've got two partners rolled into one. Very exciting reasons to be involved with Enview at the trade show, mate. Thank you very much, Craig.
Cheers. Thanks, Steve.
Dint Golf Solutions are also partners of this segment, Walking the Fairways on the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast. And Dint Golf Solutions is more than just a business. It's a legacy. Approaching 100 years in 2030, the company has grown from humble beginnings into a trusted name in the Australian golf industry, built on generations of knowledge, hard work, and a deep connection to the game. Today, it is proudly led by brothers Adam and Jonathan, fourth-generation custodians of the family business. Having spent over 20 years immersed in the greenkeeping industry, the brothers understand the challenges faced by course superintendents better than most. Their experience isn't just professional, it's personal. They've walked thousands of fairways and viewed the day-to-day demands course staff experience maintaining world-class playing surfaces. That's why Dint Golf Solutions is driven by a simple philosophy: provide the highest quality backed by genuine, reliable customer service. For Adam and Jonathan, it's not just about selling equipment, it's about helping course staff perform at their best. As the business looks towards its centenary, the mission remains unchanged. Support the people who care for the game, just as the family has done for generations. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you know that Dint Golf Solutions have been a long-time partner of the podcast and indeed this segment, Walking the Fairways. And because it's the ASTMA National Turf Conference week here in Melbourne, don't forget to head down to stand number 24 at the trade show, where you'll find the Dint Golf Solutions immersive stand. Now, they are going to have so many things for you to have a good, close look at, as I know you've heard Adam talk about on the last segment of Walking the Fairways. But this is just a reminder that while you're going down and you're at the trade show, walking the floors and checking things out, make sure you stop by stand number 24 and check out all the things that they have available for you to look at. Have a close look. Ask plenty of questions. Adam, his brother Jonathan, and the team of Dint will be there for you to pick their brains. Meet them as well, because it's wonderful to have partners of the podcast, but make sure you say good day and that you're a listener of the podcast. That's the Golfing Greenkeeper podcast, of course, and you listen to Walking the Fairways and you love the news, because that's what we want to share around. So go and say good day, meet the team, and see what they've got available, the latest gear, and a whole plethora of things available for golf courses. That's one of the great things about the ASTMA trade show, and one of the great things about the Dint Golf Solutions trade show. Stand at number 24, so make sure you head over to them. I won't ask you to wait any longer. This is episode number 194. Now, it's all about the ASTMA, the Australian Sports Turf Managers Association National Turf Conference this week here in Melbourne, and it's combined with the GMA. That's the General Managers Association, ladies and gentlemen. And it's going to be a huge week. Anyone is here by the looks of it. Everyone's flown in. We're all ready to rock and roll for a big week. So if you're coming in, make sure you say good day. If you see me floating around, and make sure you check out all the partners of the podcast, and indeed Enview and Dint Golf Solutions. And that's what it's all about. It's all about meeting with peers, chatting with peers, seeing what's the latest and greatest. You're going to have a whale of a time learning from speakers. There's a list of wonderful speakers in this year's event as well here in Melbourne. So there's lots to do, there's lots to see, and there's going to be lots of catching up with many people. And I know sometimes for many of you, it happens only once a year. So it's a great way to do it. And I know Melbourne is a wonderful city to have it. And I look forward to meeting all of you out there, the women and men of the turf industry. Come and say good day. You girls and guys are the superstars of turf, and I want to meet you all. So if you see me, come and say good day. That's how I want everyone to know you all, the superstars of turf. I think it's a great term. Now, we're going to start off, we're here in Melbourne for this week. We're going to start off in Victoria. Makes sense to start in Vic. And look, there's been a great deal of things happening. None bigger than the news that's got the whole country talking, and that is that Peninsula Kingswood Country Golf Club have finally been given the nod to host the Men's Australian Open, and it will be in December 2027. So it's next year's Australian Open, this year being held in 2026 in December, will be held, of course, at Kingston Heath. Now, after having just visited the course and catching up with Glenn Stewart and Ben Payne, who lead the course team there at PK, I am so much more pumped than ever for the course team, the club, and its members about this announcement. And I could possibly be as pumped as they are. And I don't really have a vested interest, but I just love the joint. This is such bloody good news. And as I've mentioned after my recent visit to the course last month, the golf courses are looking absolutely sensational. I can tell you that from fact, having been there. Now, for those of you listening further afield that are unfamiliar with PK, I'm going to break it down for you. I'm going to give you a little bit of detail and insight into who and what PK is. Peninsula Kingswood Country Golf Club is located in Frankston, and it's at the southern reaches, essentially, of the Sandbelt region. It's just over 40 kilometres southeast of Melbourne City, which equates to about a 50-minute drive in Melbourne traffic for the majority of the time. That's about probably the average time. It's past Royal Melbourne, past Kingston Heath and past Metropolitan, and many of the well-known Sandbelt courses. They are a little bit closer to Melbourne, but PK, like I mentioned, is at the southern reaches of the Sandbelt region, and that's basically what is defined by the vegetation and the sand profile that these golf courses sit on. Now, those courses, Royal Melbourne, Kingston Heath, and the traditional courses that we know and love so much, they're about a 35-minute drive southeast of Melbourne City. And as I mentioned, PK is about a 50-minute drive. So it is a lot further away from the city than the traditional host, being the well-known historic golf courses of the Sandbelt. Now, by train, there's the Kananook station, railway station, and it's located, you can catch a train all the way down to PK. The Kananook railway station is located about 3.5 k's from PK's front gate, which is not far off the 3 kilometres that Cheltenham railway station is from Royal Melbourne's front gate. So I hear lots of commentary. There's already been some critics coming out about this call. And one of those is travel and transport and getting to PK. But if you can catch a train to Royal Melbourne or Kingston Heath down that region and then get a ride in from the station to the gates, you can do the same at PK. It's 3.5 k's from Kananook railway station to PK's front gate, and for Royal Melbourne, it's 3 kilometres from Cheltenham railway station. So that's not a big deal. It's the same if you ask me. But of course, it is further from the city itself, so it's a longer train ride. But let's not whinge about distance from the city too much, because I'm sure many of you can remember the Men's Australian Open that was held back in 2003 and also 2005 was at Moona Links, the Open Course, which was built as the home of the Australian PGA, and the Open Course was built specifically to host the Australian Open itself, the Men's Australian Open. Now, it's located, Moona Links is so much further south. It's located at Fingal, further south down the Mornington Peninsula, right down there. It's nearly 100 kilometres from Melbourne City. Now, that was the best part of 21 and 23 years ago, respectively. It was 100 kilometres from Melbourne City. They did it twice. Now, for those of you who are also old enough to remember watching some of the golf back in the early 2000s, let's not forget the Grand Golf Club at the Gold Coast. Now, I'm a big fan of the Grand, and it's located at the Gold Coast, which is 75 kilometres south of Brisbane. Now, some of you might say, hey, Steve, hang on, champ. It's at the Gold Coast, which is a bit of a big place. Yes, well, it was much less of a big place 25 years ago in 2001 when it hosted the National Men's Tournament. And most people back then probably felt that the Gold Coast was like the Mornington Peninsula. It was a long way from Brisbane. Now, I hardly think in today's terms that PK is very far out of Melbourne City at all. If people who travel the world playing the best golf courses can travel to play Peninsula Kingswood these days because it's so good and worth the trip, I think you'll find spectators who want to watch the Men's Australian Open will find it very easy to travel to Peninsula Kingswood without it being too difficult at all. Fancy saying PK is too far out of Melbourne to have the Australian Open. Bloody hell, get over your own bullshit already. Fair dinkum. And the funny part is that some of these dingbats are people that make up the golf media landscape. And honestly, yeah, sure, let's shit on our own Australian Open because our club that we're a member of is better than PK. Or our neighbourhood is better than their neighbourhood where PK is. Bloody hell, grow up and get over yourselves. Honestly, fair dinkum. Some of the stuff is just ridiculous. I digress. The new PK officially opened in 2019. As a bit of a recap for those of you who aren't well versed in Peninsula Kingswood. The new Peninsula Kingswood opened officially in 2019 and was a redesign of its previous iteration, being Peninsula Country Golf Club. And PK, Peninsula Kingswood, is after Peninsula Country Golf Club and Kingswood Golf Club merged. And this was a first of its kind in Australia by two private golf clubs merging into one. And ultimately, the site at Kingswood was sold to developers, and they got money from that sale, and they invested that in a redesign of the golf course, new clubhouse, and everything. So they basically said, look, the property at Peninsula at the time is the best property for us to invest in golf. So let's do it and do it well. The redesign was done by Mike Hocking at the time of OCCM, which is now OCM, as we know, being Ogilvy, Cocking and Mead. Now, I had the opportunity to play both courses in 2020, about 8 months or so after they officially opened. Now, looking back, it was right before COVID closed us all down, so I was probably pretty lucky to do so. From that moment, when I first met both Ben Payne and Glenn Stewart, I got a real sense for how the course maintenance and management would be run. I was impressed. I was incredibly impressed. And I recall asking the question, after I'd played both the courses and been shown around the property in its entirety, I remember asking the question, when was it going to host the Australian Open and what routing would they use? Because it made such an impact on me. And that's only 8 months out of the box, right? It was really that good out of the box. I fell in love with PK back then. And there are only a few courses or clubs that I can genuinely say are head and shoulders above all else, and PK for me is absolutely one of them. So everything I say from this point on clearly has a bias because I think it's so damn amazing. Now, I've since been back and I've been fortunately able to visit a handful of times, and it just keeps getting better and better as it has matured. PK, for those of you that don't know, consists of north and south courses. It's a 36-hole property, two 18-hole courses, which Peninsula always had originally. It always had two courses, which was originally designed by Sloane Morpeth. Now, this new PK redesign by Mike Cocking of OCM kind of blew it up. use the same routing for the most part. There are a couple of changes, but aesthetically and architecturally, it feels almost completely different. And it is spectacular, as mentioned. I can't begin to tell you how pumped I am that it's hosting the Men's Australian Open. I was texting Glenn and texting Ben. When I saw that there was an announcement coming, I was like texting him saying, is this what I think it is? And then we all got the media releases and everything was put out by Golf Australia and so on. And I won't say it brought a tear to my eye, but my God, it was close. I digress once again. The North Course, to give you an idea, winds its way around the highest parts of the property with some outstanding elevation changes. Now, a couple of my faves are the eye-popping par 5 third hole, which when you crest the hill, it all opens up beneath you to the green, and it's your first real experience of the elevation of the golf course because the first and second holes are uphill. So when everything falls away from beneath you, it's when you really get a sense of how high you are. And the third really does that for the first time in your round. And then there's the incredible 18th of the North Course, which is an uphill dogleg left par 4 that finishes in an amphitheatre green setting surrounded by bunkers right in front of the clubhouse. I mean, it is just one of the best holes going around, full stop. And there's plenty of other holes on the golf course as well. Now, the South Course is markedly different in its feel, given that it's on the lower, flatter parts of the property. But for me, it's the creek. The creek that is incorporated into the design of the South Course was actually an afterthought from what I gather. And thankfully, it was recreated. Now, this old creek/drainage line, if you like, was buried and piped underground. But it was reintroduced by Mike Hocking, which for me is a stroke of genius, and thankfully so. We don't have flowing creeks often here in Australia on our greatest golf courses, unlike the UK, for example. And I love nothing more than hearing and seeing flowing water on a golf course in a creek or a stream. A big river doesn't show you motion, but a creek does, because it's got the detail in the surface disturbances and how it moves and meanders at lefts and rights, ebbs and flows down rock, shallow water, deep water. It swirls, you see bubbles. It's all in the detail. There's so much intimacy with a creek as opposed to a river. And we see lots of rivers around some golf courses. You know, the Glades, for example, with the Mudgeeraba Creek, which is, I say a river, it's a big creek. There's Riverside Oaks in Sydney along the Hawkesbury, but you don't see moving water. You don't hear moving water like you do in some of the burns and creeks and things in the UK. I can only imagine because I haven't been there. But that's what's so good about PK. And one of the reasons I love Dorrigo, as I digress, is moving water. Close, intimate relationship between the golf course and water that's moving. It's amazing. And the creek that runs through the South Course of PK is just so good. And that's why I think it's such a great feature of that golf course in itself. And it's been well designed into the golf course of the South Course, and architecturally and aesthetically. And that's what makes the South Course so exceptional. Now, apparently, it was the North Course that changed the most after this redesign, from my understanding. It was the South Course that was previously considered the better of the two courses back in the day, but after the redesign, the North Course became the standout over its longer sibling, being the South Course. The vegetation of the property is amazing, much like Royal Melbourne and Kingston Heath is one of the real standouts as well. The vegetation goes a long way to making this property so bloody special, and it's been brought out so well in the redesign as well. Now, in 2026, and I'll mention this, one of the top 100s, the Australian Golf Digest had a top 100 ranking list for this year in Australia, and they had the North Course ranked at number 5, and the South Course was ranked at number 15. So they're right up there, okay, both of them. Now, that's why I mentioned that the North Course is a standout for many people. It nearly always gets ranked above the South Course. And I've got to be honest, trying to split them, I still lean towards North, but sometimes I love the South more. I'm not sure if I can explain why. And I think I've asked Ben and Glenn the question as well, which is better, and I think they've both come back to me. It'd be like trying to pick who your favourite child is. So, unfair question at best. Now, what we do know of the Australian Open is that it's going to be played on a composite course, much like that of Royal Melbourne that we just had in 2025. A unique routing of 18 holes from their 36-hole complex. A mashup, if you will. Now, on such a large property, the reason you would do this is because it will keep golf centralised around the clubhouse area rather than really getting away from the clubhouse. It will really keep everything centralised. You kind of get to pick, probably, arguably, some of the best holes to make out that composite course. But really the essence of it is it keeps it central. Keeps everything central for the spectators for the most part, so it's easy to get around and see all the golf. And it is a big property. I remember Glenn and Ben both telling me that the 36 holes of PK is so big that it will fit 3 Kingston Heath courses in it. So there's 2 courses, north and south, but it's large enough to fit 3 Kingston Heath 18-hole courses in it. That's how big the property is. So a composite course is really essential for having a tournament. Now, some of you out there have probably seen an image doing the rounds on social media of a possible composite routing for the tournament like I have, but I can't confirm whether or not that is accurate, and that is the one to be used. That particular plan, I will mention, it consists of a 10-hole loop of a mix of the north course holes, followed by an 8-hole loop mix of the south hole courses to make up the 18 composite course. No, they are not all in order of their respective club courses. Like I said, it's a mixed grouping of holes. Now, until I can confirm the actual routing, or if you hear an official announcement, I'm not going to go into it anymore in any more detail at all because we don't know if it's legit. And I don't even know if they might still be thinking. I assume they've got it locked in, but maybe they are thinking about it. I don't know that detail. So it's only an image going around. It's not an official announcement, so I won't go down that road anymore. What we do know, and what I do know, is that there have been a number of routings considered for the tournament. Such is the beauty of Peninsula Kingswood. A little background to the Australian Open routing that they will use is that a number of routings have always been considered to one day host a major tournament of this level. Many of you probably know that PK was very close to hosting the 2028 President's Cup, and a number of routings were put forward for the tournament. In particular, one that, if I recall correctly, the President's Cup team that came out to look which golf course was going to host the tournament, they actually devised a routing of PK that PK themselves had not drafted up, which was interesting apparently. But as we know, the club lost out to Kingston Heath for that particular event that's coming up in 2028. And this conversation of PK hosting a tournament one day with a composite course goes all the way back to when the courses were originally open for play. And I learned this concept of a composite course during my first trip there that I mentioned in 2020, which blew me away. I was gobsmacked. Now, PK will first be hosting early next year a tournament before the Men's Australian Open, and that is the Victorian WebEx Players Series event. Now, this is a great starter for PK and a bit of a good practice run, if you like, for them to hosting a tournament. So it's a great way to start. But look, I can't begin to tell you how pumped I am, how excited I am. This is just an amazing announcement, and I'm so glad that it's finally happened, that Golf Australia and the PGA of Australia and all the people involved finally got the courage to make this decision. And, you know, maybe it coincides a little bit with the PGA Tour announcing their alignment, partnership with Golf Australia and the Australian Open and all that sort of stuff. I'm going to have a bit to talk about that another time, actually. But maybe there's a bit involved in that as well. But this is undoubtedly an excellent decision, and I think we are going to reap the rewards massively when PK hosts it in 2027. So mark my words, it's going to be huge, and I just can't wait. Now that's it. We leave it there for PK and the unbelievable Peninsula Kingswood, and we move to the next part of Victoria. And since arriving down here in Melbourne for the Men's Australian Open, I was able to come down a little bit earlier, and I got the opportunity to take a drive and go and visit Lang Lang Golf Club whilst down here. Now, some of you have heard of Lang Lang, some of you haven't, but I'm going to give you a little bit of an insight. The drive to get to Lang Lang from Melbourne City took me nearly an hour and a half, and it's southeast of Melbourne. And you pass through, once you get out of the city limits, you pass through farms, and then there's more farms and there's more farms. It's just amazing. It's on the road basically that goes to Phillip Island, so it is a bit out of the way. But it is just the most beautiful drive once you get out of the city. And I love that. It's just a throw to country, which I love driving through. I've done so many kilometres driving around Australia and all sorts of different areas of Australia, and I just love it. So it was just such a beautiful drive to get out of Melbourne and drive into the farmlands and see the beautiful open spaces and get towards Langland Golf Club. Now, the golf course was originally cut out of the natural bushland area where it's situated back in the day. I think it was around the 60s, I was informed, and it is absolutely magnificent. And it's basically on all sand as well. Now, I was not knowing what to expect when I got there. And it really, really is spectacular. Now, if you're a car nut like me, I was hoping it was right next door to the entrance of Holden's old test facility, which is called Lang Lang Proving Grounds, which was where they used to test all the cars they used to make down here. And that was I was hearing Lang Lang Golf Club, and I'm like, is it? Well, I was kind of right. Lang Lang Golf Club almost borders the far eastern end of the Proving Grounds property. So it's similar bushland setting, but you go up as you get towards Lang Lang Golf Club. You rise up off the flat farmlands and the lowlands, if you like. And it's up on this beautiful sand and this beautiful bushland. It's amazing. Now, when I got there, I saw the golf course and I was gobsmacked. What a sensational golf course Lang Lang is. I'm still thinking of how best to describe it, but it oozes traditional Melbourne golf, if you're wondering what it's like. It kind of feels a bit sandbelty. There's elevation changes, beautiful vegetation, but it's almost a parkland style with its tallish vegetation. But it's very much sandbelt at the same time. So maybe there you go. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's a parkland sandbelt golf course is maybe a way to describe it. But look, I'm still thinking about it. It's just bloody beautiful is what it is. It's a par 70 golf course, so it's not super long, but it's got some ripper golf holes, particularly the par 3s. Now, I was shown around the front nine only, and I got to see, we drove through all the front nine, and I got to see holes 5 and 9 of the par 3s that are available in the front nine, and they are absolute gems. And some challenging dogleg par 4s as well. The third is a sensational short par 4 with a small water body just in front of the green. The fourth and sixth holes have a couple of eucalyptus trees, ever so just enough, leaning out into the hole corridor to annoy you if you're on the wrong side of the fairway with your tee shot playing to their respective greens. And they're beautiful trees too, by the way. Now, I mentioned that I was shown around and given a tour of the golf course. So I've got to say thanks to General Manager Alfie Ankayan, if I pronounced his last name correctly. Shout out to Alfie. And also to Superintendent Brett Frankham. So both those gentlemen showed me around the course and invited me out there to go and have a look at the golf course as well. And it was worth the drive. They showed me around the course, the club, and let me be honest, and I'll say it again, they have something very special on their hands at Lang Lang. Now, I've reported not long ago on Walking the Fairways about their new putting green and first tee complex that's not long been completed, which looks sensational at Lang Lang. They're also improving in a significant way their practice range area with a new concrete pad with synthetic turf coming for maximum wear resistance. That's coming online soon. And Brett also tells me that they're looking at building a new practice short game area as well. The 9th and 10th holes have some tees that were not so long ago built, so they're brand new too. The club is heading very much in the right direction here, and if you haven't been to Lang Lang before, Lang Lang Golf Club, make the decision to go. It's worth every minute of the drive, and you won't be disappointed either. High quality golf course. Yes, it's only a par 70. And yeah, sure, they've got smaller greens than you would find on the Sandbelt or some of the more well-known golf courses. But let me tell you, you don't lose anything by going down there to play golf. And in fact, you'll find you gain a golf course that you really enjoy, that you probably never knew before. So a big thank you to Alfie and to Brett for showing me around the golf course, and congratulations to Lang Lang Golf Club as a whole, the membership, because they are doing such a great job down there, and it's a wonderful, wonderful golf course. Now, we wrap up Victoria, ladies and gentlemen. We move to Tasmania. There's more news coming out of Tasmania Golf Club, thanks to Superintendent Ben Stacey. Stage 2 of the 13th greenside bunkering is being done. This involved filling in the bunker on the left side of the green and redesigning the large bunker on the right into two separate bunkers and bringing them slightly around towards the front of the green just a little bit more, and it looks a great deal better. This all ties in with Stage 1 works, which saw the implementation of a new fairway bunker to the hole, which ultimately brings in some strategy to how you're going to play the hole from now on. Tasmania Golf Club keep moving forward and keep improving their golf course. Another reason to put it on your list of must-plays when you're in Hobart. We know about 7 Mile. We know about Royal Hobart. But now we're hearing more and more about Tasmania and how it's improving. So a big thank you to Superintendent Ben Stacey for the updated info there, so I can keep you, ladies and gentlemen, informed about what's happening at Tasmania. And I have seen a few people actually have been sharing with me that they've played Tasmania Golf Club recently and how much they've enjoyed it. So there you go. There's lots going on, and they keep improving, which is fantastic to see. Now we're going to head all the way to the top end. Ladies and gentlemen, I am excited and pumped. I've got to be honest. I've got someone back here that I know people are a fan of listening to. So, with a new title, we have joining us on this episode of Enview and Dint Golf Solutions Walking the Fairways is our Northern Territory correspondent, Jimmy Downs, Superintendent of Humpty Golf Club. G'day, Jimmy. How you doing?
Morning, Steve. How are you?
Mate, I'm fantastic. Thank you. Now, we've got you this morning bright and early on a Friday, so this is something that's it's a privilege to have you doing this. You're out on course. You're actually literally walking the fairways, mate. This is gold.
Yeah, just come out for a quick check of a few things, but yeah.
Loving it.
It's a nice brisk morning.
Fantastic. And what's brisk for Northern Territory?
I don't know, 20 degrees.
20 degrees. That's very good. There are maximums at the moment down here in the south, but it's wonderful, mate, to have you on and people could picture in their minds exactly what this is like. Now, you have been a busy beaver yourself and your people around you, your team members, your volunteers, help from the club. What have you guys been up to? I've been seeing some stuff you've been posting on socials. Let us know what's been happening up there at Humpty Doo.
Yeah, so currently at the moment, I'm just rebuilding the fifth tee. And obviously, us being a 9-hole course, we've got sort of multiple tees. So I was able to sort of put all the traffic onto the 14th tee, which is adjacent to the fifth tee. And our fifth tee is probably, it's another one on the list that I'm slowly working through as one of our worst ones. And it was pretty domed through the middle of the tee block. So obviously, people then all tee off from the middle of the tee because that's the flattest spot, and then that's where all the wear issues are, and then the tee just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. It's
a snowball effect, right?
Yeah,
that mounding snowball in the middle.
Yeah.
It can be a problem. So, from memory, mate, you do zoysia on your tees, is that right?
Yeah, so the last couple of tee blocks that we've done, we've put in zoysia, which is, it seems to hold up the wear. Because we've got such small tee blocks, the zoysia is a little bit stronger. It's more the foot movement on the small tees, especially when you've got like a bit of sort of buffalo and Queensland blue sort of mixed into some of the tee blocks. That they don't take that constant traffic too well.
Okay.
So yeah, the zoysia has sort of been doing good. So the plan is, we'll re-turf that 5th tee with Empire zoysia.
Okay, that's good to hear, and I'm hearing this from people, even down this way, that are using it. I know here at Avondale, I've seen in Sydney, golf clubs are starting to look at zoysia as a real solution to some of these wear issues, along with the beauty of the grass that does so well in shade challenges as well. And I know also the new golf course at Chatswood. But mate, not to get away from what you're doing, but I'm hearing more about this wear resistance, the strength of the grass in zoysia when it comes to high wear traffic and tees.
Yep. The only downside, obviously, was the zoysia is it doesn't recover as quickly as like some of your more modern Bermuda will.
Yeah, Cooch. Yep.
Cooch varieties. So.
Mate, you're not that far away. You're not up in the Northern Hemisphere. We don't need to go calling it Bermuda just yet.
Yeah, I listen to too many podcasts. That's my problem.
A good thing, mate. Good to hear as well. Mate, that's fantastic. So how long does it take you to do a project like that for yourself? Because it's you leading the team. Who else have you got helping you?
So I've got, I do have 2 positions under me, but at the moment we're down to 1.
Okay.
So got a new starter coming at the end of the month, so hopefully that'll
exciting.
Help things out. When you down one person in a 3-man team, that's 33% of work not getting done.
Oh,
which
mate,
then obviously snowballs.
It's a thing. When I used to say similar stories to other people and of bigger clubs, and I'd say, you might have 15 staff, but imagine if 5 staff walked out one day. They just were sick all at once. It's pretty intense, right?
Yeah,
mate. But, good stuff.
Yeah, so we've got that on the go. I need to really pull my finger out with that one. We've actually got the NT Country Championships, which is a Golf Australia NT event.
Oh, wow.
At the
exciting.
end of July. So that's the first time the clubs will be hosting this event in, I think, about 15 years. So,
mate, that's huge.
Yeah, so that's probably going to be our biggest event for the year. So,
fantastic.
Looking forward to building the course up and getting it prepped for that.
Absolutely, mate. Great to see. And you got good conditions at this time of the year. It's not super wet. You don't have to worry about those challenges being the dry season. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We still have a couple of areas that we still haven't been able to mow since Christmas.
No. Are you for real?
Yeah, our wet season was ridiculous.
Wow.
We were just shy of 3 meters for the 5 months of the wet from November through to the end of April.
3 meters.
We ended up getting about 2,964 mil.
That's right. I remember you doing your counter on socials to see if you were going to crack the 3 meter mark.
Yeah, I thought we were going to get there, but it sort of held off a little bit towards the end there. So, we had a couple of 2 really big rain events, which was obviously that cyclone back in November.
Yep.
That hit Darwin and the outer areas there. And then we had another event, I think that was in May. No.
It was late in the season.
It was March, sorry. Another one starts with M. We had 190 mil fall in about 10 hours.
Whoa.
And I thought it was more than that, but it was so much rain. Obviously, I drove to work in the rain, got in the shed, started doing shed work. It rained, and then it sort of stopped for about 15 minutes. I was like, oh, yep, maybe we'll get a bit of work done today. Then the next minute, it just come down, and it just did not stop. Like,
wow.
Serious, just someone just had left the tap on, and it just come down like all hell.
So does that cause flooding, didn't it, around on the golf course?
It did cause a bit of flooding. I was going home that night thinking we're going to lose a couple of bridges.
Oh, wow.
But luckily enough, we didn't. I was pretty happy when I come in the next morning and found that they were still upright and still able to be used. And I think I had to cross 5 water crossings to get home after that rain event,
Wow.
which also caused a bit of not minor flooding, but flooding in the Darwin River area.
Right, okay.
Which sort of made the news because Darwin lost power because actually, no, it wasn't power, it was water. Apologies. There was a bit of flooding there, but that really didn't get picked up in the news because Katherine was flooding. So everyone was their attention was all focused on Katherine at the time.
Yeah, right.
So it's been a hell of a wet season, but things are obviously drying out now, and we're sort of back into the swing of the dry season.
So you still get pretty good growth because the night temperatures aren't too cold. So everything's still kind of growing okay up there at this time of the year. What we would normally consider the off-season, it's sort of pretty good for you guys still?
Yeah, it's
not as much.
But between your dry season or the wet season and the dry season, it's a really gnarly transition period where we can get still quite hot temperatures. So you've got to be really careful because obviously with the wet, all your roots sort of come right up because they're just absolutely, drowning in water.
Yeah.
And then you get those hot temps. It doesn't take much, like a day or two, and then you can be drying out on the greens. So you've really got to be careful in that transition period, making sure you're still watering enough, but not watering too much that you're keeping the soil still waterlogged from the wet season, if that makes any sense. So you're sort of a bit of a balancing act there, trying to get those moisture sort of readings right.
Yeah, you still got to be all over it, right? It's these are the times that can catch you out sometimes if you're not switched on to some of those things, mate. Well said. Other parts of the golf course, how's it all looking?
Yeah, good. Obviously, funnily enough, we're now having bore issues. So, from one extreme to the other. But yeah, we'll get that sorted. The playground is in full swing at the moment. We did a bit of demo work last week. Me and a volunteer sort of hooked in and had to get that all sorted so that the contractors could come in and start work this week. That'll be a good new addition to the club. We're getting really good numbers for juniors. Probably, 30 kids turn up to the Wednesday afternoon clinic.
That's fantastic.
With a new playground, the kids will be able to do the junior golf, then be able to go and have a nice play in the new playground. So I think playgrounds work really well with, helping juniors come on board, because then they really enjoy the golf club because they can play and then they can hit balls, and, it's sort of, I think they really complement each other.
Yeah, no, and it becomes a bit of a destination on a couple of different fronts of entertainment, right?
Yeah. And
That's
obviously
fantastic.
the local community, benefits them as well.
Oh, mate, it's all round. It's a good thing. And you know what? And this is going to sound funny, but I know golf courses not far out of Sydney that don't have juniors. Some not at all. Very low numbers. And we're talking Sydney, right? We've got over 5 million people here in this city. And you're one of 11 golf courses in the entire state of the Northern Territory. And you've got this little junior program that's breeding well, and it's fantastic. And the club's got the direction. You're doing these sorts of works and targeting these programs for kids. Oh, mate, it's fantastic. So good to hear. And mate, that's unreal. Well done. Well done to the club.
Yeah, and I think junior golf in the NT's really got some good people out there that are the coordinators and stuff. And it seems like all the clubs sort of have, really good junior numbers at the moment.
And hosting the event. What was the event you've got coming up soon from Golf Australia?
Golf Australia NT Amateur Country Championships.
I mean, those sorts of events are great too. Look, it's so good to see Golf Australia putting some energy into the Northern Territory as a golf region. I think that's fantastic too. And I've not followed the Northern Territory side of things for golf, in my time working on golf courses and years gone by, but just recently having seen it. And I think it's brilliant. They've got the one big event up there that comes in at the start of the PGA season for us here. I think it's in August. The Northern Territory PGA, I think it is. And, these are great things to see happening up there.
Yeah, there's certainly, a few events with Darwin just hosted the NT Amateur.
Darwin, is that Darwin Golf Club?
Yeah, Darwin Golf Club.
Yeah, right.
And they had their greens rolling at about 12, I believe, when I was talking to the boys the other week. Todd and Keegan and them come out for a bit of a visit, which was nice to have those guys come out and have a look over the course. And we all seem to be having a lot of issues, obviously with our big wet. Crow's Foot and Mullumbimby Cooch have been the biggest sort of issues on the greens, to the point, like with the wet being as wet it was, you couldn't spray.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
The weeds just, got out of control, and the members were like, the weeds in the greens, but there's no point in spraying because you're just throwing money down the drain, because you just don't get the time for it to dry on the leaf or even being uptaken into the weeds, because the rainfall is just
it's too much.
Everything.
It's not working. You can't spray in those conditions environmentally anyway. So these are the decisions that you have to make, and also the conditions that the golf courses have to roll with. I mean, it's no different to when it's hot and dry. A golf course is going to turn brown in many areas, certainly in the southern states when we get that through summertime. And members and golfers can, they often do point out how tough it is or how dry the course is looking, regardless of the water supply you have, because there's limitations. And it's quite the opposite for you guys in summertime. You get so much rain, it's insane. You're going to get weed issues. And these are the inherent things that come with certain conditions in a golf course. And I think not many people appreciate or understand any golf in the tropical north of this country, whether it's Queensland, Northern Territory, WA, anywhere up there. We just don't have the population to understand golf. I, for one, have no clue what it's like to manage that. I have to interpret it based on talking to people like yourself, and that's the only way I can learn about it.
Yeah,
Until I make a flight.
Yeah, it's definitely different, and you do get that. You do get guys that come up from Adelaide or from, Melbourne and those areas, and they're like, "Oh, greens are a bit slow." It's like, well, it's not the sandbelt. You don't, or those southern regions where you got bent grass and stuff. The conditions are so different, and you pretty much. A lot of the guys say that we should have two handicaps, one for the dry season, one for the wet season, because obviously. Wow. In the dry, your ball will run plenty, but in the wet, it just stops dead. And this year, I had to rope off an entire fairway. You just couldn't have carts on it at all, and I couldn't mow it for nearly 2 months.
2 months?
Yeah, it was
2 months.
It was pretty ridiculous.
That's insane. And this is the thing, right? It is just such a different landscape, and being the majority of that part of the country is so removed from the majority of Australia's population, which is, south side, essentially. Quite incredible. But that's golf. That's golf in the Territory. That's golf in tropical Australia. It's a different type of golf. And I love to understand it and share the different types of golf. We have such a diverse country for golf. It is unbelievable, and I think it's quite incredible, mate. The stuff that you got to manage through. Well done.
Yeah, it's a bit of a challenge at times, but
no doubt.
We just look forward to the dry season, I think.
Very good. Now, mate, what do you know much about what's happening on anything else up there in the NT? Like I said, I've put a bit of a title on you now with the Northern Territory correspondent. You're pretty close to the game, like you mentioned. You got the boys from Darwin down visiting the other day. Do you know much about some of the other places I haven't had a chance to talk to yet?
Yeah, so we're actually donating 2 of our old mowers to Jabiru Golf Club.
Oh wow, that's up in it's in
Arnhem
Kakadu, yeah, in Arnhem Land.
Yep.
Wow.
So we're going to be donating them a couple of pieces of old equipment. So hopefully they can get a little bit of use out of that, because they're pretty much they're 100% voluntary that club.
Yep.
And they had their irrigation. All installed.
That's right. They got a grant, didn't they?
Yeah. So that was all those works being completed, I believe.
Wow, that's exciting for them.
And they had an event out there a couple of weeks ago, the Jabiru Biathlon.
Okay.
Which is a fishing and golf event. So you fish the first day, very Territorian. You fish the first day.
You took the words right out of my mouth, mate. That is unreal.
And you play golf the second day with a 4-man Ambrose. So
that sounds like a lot of fun. My old man would be into that.
Yeah, it's a really good weekend out there. From all reports I heard, the guys were really surprised at how good the greens were looking. Obviously, having irrigation around the greens and the fairways and stuff, it's really helped them, the tee blocks and that, really present the course, better. People were nicely surprised at how good the conditions were.
That's fantastic to hear.
And they had 34 teams.
34 teams?
Yeah, so you can imagine that was a long day playing a 4-man Ambrose. On a 9-hole course, that's a long day.
That's a long day, but clearly a lot of fun. I mean, you don't get that many people roll up to an event like that if they're not going to enjoy themselves. What a great concept. That's unreal to hear.
Yeah, and further down the track, you've Katherine Golf Club. Obviously, they're still recovering from their floods.
From the flooding, yep.
Yeah, talking with Glenn down there, he was saying that their second green was underwater for 2 weeks, along with their first and second fairway. But he said they're starting to recover really nicely at the moment. They've built a new tee block on the second. They've got a new greens mower. What else have they got?
Good to hear, like you mentioned, good to hear on the back of the floods that they've able to turn the corner, and because it was pretty full on. I remember reporting about it, and I think I can't remember which one of the team members had sent me some photos of it as well. It was pretty full on.
Yeah, it was pretty full on. They had the water go right up through their workshop, I believe. Managed to just not get in the clubhouse, but the pro shop and the workshop, I think, had a bit of water through them. And they're almost halfway through their shade structure, which they're going over their bowling green. They got a big grant there to
put
that bowling green undercover.
Oh, you'd want shade up in the Northern Territory, fair dinkum.
Yeah, 100%.
It's hard work.
And what else we got? The Gardens in town, Gardens Golf Links, which is sort of tucked away near the casino, if anyone knows Darwin.
Okay.
They've just received a new coring machine and bobcat, so bit of new equipment going in there.
Good to hear.
I think they've also got 20 new golf carts as well, so talking with Roger there, he was pretty happy with, and so are the members, with some more carts available to be out on course. So yeah, everyone seems to be investing in a little bit of infrastructure. We also got a new greens mower, which is good.
Exciting, mate. Well done.
Yeah. So everyone seems to have gotten a couple of new pieces of equipment lately, which is nice.
Fantastic to hear, Jimmy. And, mate, look, like I said, it's great to see Golf Australia investing up there. It's great to see the clubs be able to invest more. There's some grants that have been received by a few clubs, and great to hear places like not just yourself at clubs doing well and some of those ones in the city, but places like Jabiru, which also you as a club are supporting by donating some stuff out to them. So, mate, it's fantastic to hear about all these things up in the Northern Territory, because otherwise we literally have down here we wouldn't have a clue. Mate, it's great. I appreciate you getting this information and sharing it with us, because unless we're talking about it here on the podcast, I don't think anyone's going to hear about it. So, mate, I'm glad to have you back on as a Northern Territory correspondent, but also as representing and sharing with us what's going on as superintendent at Humpty too, mate. It's fantastic to hear, and I look forward to at the back end of the dry season, when things are really ramping up before things start to warm up, and maybe talk to you again with a bit of an update on how it's all going, mate. Fantastic.
No worries, Steve. You're most welcome.
Jimmy Downs, Superintendent of Humpty Doo and the Northern Territory correspondent of Enview and Dint Golf Solutions, walking the fairways. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Steve. Love your work, mate.
Now we come back to New South Wales, ladies and gentlemen, and look, a bit of news that I've got to give you. There's not much that I want to talk about for New South Wales on this segment of Walking the Fairways, other than the joint New South Wales Golf Course Superintendents Association and Victorian Golf Course Superintendents Association Country Conference being held at Yarrawonga Mulwala Golf Resort from the 3rd to the 5th of August. So this is a shout out to that particular country conference, because I am the MC of the event this year, which I'm bloody excited about. Now, ticket sales are soon to end. So get in now and book your tickets, because they stop from the 1st of July. So it's not far away. Now, I'm putting the call out there to the New South Wales Golf Course Superintendents Association members. I know you love a country trip. You used to do it when I ran my industry event out in the western New South Wales. Now, this is a much bigger and much better event. The guest speakers on this country conference are unbelievable. And here's just a couple of them that I'll mention. They've got some wonderful international guests, being Bob Farron, who's the Director of Golf Course Maintenance from Pinehurst, so he's coming to Australia to talk at this event. Scott McElroy, Professor from Auburn University in the US, who is an expert in turf grass weed science. Micah Woods, an Adjunct Professor from University of Tennessee, and who you might know from the Asian Turfgrass Centre, or even from his own podcast, the ATC Double Cut with Micah Woods. And some of our very own expert, including the incredibly experienced Gary Behag and John Nayland, along with a whole list of other speakers. This is sure to be an incredibly successful event. Don't miss it. Stop wasting time and thinking about it. It's very seldom that an event like this is so close to regional areas of New South Wales and Victoria. So a shout out to those of you who can't make the trip to Melbourne this year, or any of the Capital City National Turf Conference events. Maybe they're too far away. This is the first time ever the New South Wales Supers and Victorian Supers Associations have come together for this country conference. They've got some wonderful speakers, as you've heard. It's right there for you to attend, improve yourselves and your club. So don't fart ass about anymore. Get online and secure your ticket now. Links will be in the show notes, and I've done some Googling. So if you just want to Google, if you don't want to go to the show notes, Google for VGCSA New South Wales GCSA Country Conference, and it will come up with the event. Go to the website, and that's where you can buy your tickets. Now, I know people have already done so. Look, I'm a New South Welshman, so I'm putting it out there. Any of you in New South Wales that haven't got off your backsides yet, or you're thinking about doing it, just do it, because ticket sales are going to end very, very soon. I'm excited to see everyone down there. It's going to be amazing. And this is a shout out, like I mentioned. I'm emceeing the event, so this is definitely a plug for it. I've got a commercial arrangement with them. It's going to be amazing. I want to see you there. I want to say g'day. It's going to be a lot of fun, and not always do you get the opportunity from a regional perspective to get access to something like this. So, ladies and gentlemen, make the effort and get down there to the country conference. It's going to be huge. Go to the ACT briefly, and the reason I say briefly is because Fairbairn Golf Club, just out near the airport, Canberra Airport, is up against it with the lease that they currently have with the Department of Defence under the federal government, looking to sell off land. They are really wanting to secure a new lease for their future. They don't want to lose out. They don't want to disappear or be forced to go somewhere else and start again. They've been there for a long time at Fairbairn, and it will be a shame to see it all disappear with a single stroke of a pen, if you like. So I've got a link in the show notes for this one, and it's to sign the petition. They're looking for as many people to sign the petition as possible to support them retaining a lease of some type on that ground, and they don't want it to be taken out from under them. So there's going to be a link available in the show notes if you want to get on that and help them out. Now we go to New Zealand for one final piece of this segment of Walking the Fairways. Now, I did get quite a bit on some stuff in New Zealand for the last segment of Walking the Fairways of the Hills Golf Club and news about Pegasus, of course. This time around, there's a whole lot of work going on at my favourite Muriwai golf links, and I'm yet to get some of the details about it all. So I'll put this one here as a notification until I get some more details from Superintendent Harry Middleton to share with you. And I hope to catch up with Harry whilst here in Melbourne at the National Turf Conference. He's a dead set champion, Harry, and I will unashamedly say that. And for anyone else travelling over here to the ASTMA conference this week, don't be shy if you're coming from New Zealand. If you see me, come and say hi. I want to meet you all from New Zealand also, and hopefully you'll be able to share more about your golf courses on the podcast with me in the future as well. So a quick shout out, but there's more to come about Muriwai Golf Links, and I'm looking to get some more details about that stuff as well. But looking forward to catching up with all the Kiwi friends coming over. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. It's a big week ahead here in Melbourne for this particular segment of Enview and Dint Golf Solutions Walking the Fairways. A big thanks to Jimmy Downs for jumping on the pod and giving us an insight from the top end. There's going to be lots of clickables in the show notes, so as always, get over there. Please like, share, and subscribe, because that's the best way to get the podcast around, and any reviews or star ratings will be very, very much appreciated. Thank you to Craig Burley for jumping on the podcast for the very first time. Really appreciate him having a quick chat about what's going to be happening on the Enview Trade Show stand down here at the conference. At stand number 33 is where you'll find them. Enview are your specialist partner for science-based solutions and expert guidance to enhance your turf performance. Now make sure you check out envu.com.au. Check out their turf and ornamentals page for more info about their products that can help you look after your turf surfaces better. Clickables will be in the show notes as always, of course. And make sure you follow them. They are on social media, on Instagram and Facebook as well. Big thank you to Dint Golf Solutions for their support of Walking the Fairways. Make sure you get down to Trade Show Stand 24 and check them out at the trade show. You can also have a look at their products on their website at dint.com.au and follow them on social media on Instagram and Facebook as well. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for listening to Enview and Dint Golf Solutions Walking the Fairways. That's it for this time around. You hit them clean, we'll keep them green, and I'll catch up with you this week.